Welcome to Let's Face the Facts. I'm David Almeida, and I'm your host for this rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom The Facts of Life. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I bring you some of the greatest talent in the Central Florida arts community. Join us as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show, episode by episode. Hey guys, welcome back. Another show, another week. Got a great guest for you this week. My guest is Ginger Lee McDermott, an amazing actress that I get to work with sometimes. She sometimes goes by Ginger Honey. No, that is not a recipe. That is her married name because she is married to the wonderful actor James Honey, whom you enjoyed a couple weeks ago on this very show. So you are now getting to hear the other half of this power couple of talent. Now, before I go on, I do need to give a shout out to my new Tutti Frutti, Bruce H. Hey, Bruce H. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you want to be like Bruce and many others, a slowly but steadily growing legion of supporters that just touches my heart so deeply, you can go to patreon.com/facethefactspod, and you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. Now, in today's show, you might hear a little bit of an echo. Oh, the many different fun technical glitches that one can encounter by trying to do a podcast over Zoom. Anyway, it is there. I'm aware of it, and I don't think it's too much of a distraction. So let's keep moving on here, shall we? Let's just look the other way. Nothing to see here. And the other thing is, Ginger and I do discuss briefly the whole going back to work thing. She's at Universal, but my full-time gig is at Disney. As of this recording right now, Disney and Actors Equity, the union that represents the actors at Disney, including myself, they're just in a deadlock right now. They've been trying to negotiate what each side thinks is safe working conditions, and they cannot agree on it. And in fact, the acting community is very split on the issue too. And we're just hoping it's going to be resolved very soon so we can all get back to work and do so in a safe environment. Anywho, let's move on to this week's show. Ginger Lee McDermott, Honey, and I watched Season 5, Episode 14, Next Door, and the original air date was January 4th of 1984. I think we're ready to jump on in. Let's face the facts with Ginger Lee McDermott. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you, amazing actress, amazing lady, amazing everything, the wonderful Ginger Lee McDermott, Honey!
Oh, you are way too kind to me. Way too kind.
Oh, no, I am not. You are. No, you are.
No, you are.
So glad to get you on the show, finally.
I know. I'm sorry it's taken so long.
Hey, you are busy in a pandemic. To be busy, to have a lot of stuff going on, that's a good thing, and I begrudge you nothing, my dear.
Thank you. I'm trying every day, staying safe, doing the best I can, and if anyone knows me, they know 6 feet away from anyone is just fine with me.
That's how you lived your life beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah, we know many people who are introverts, actors who you think of as being so outgoing and all that. We know so many actors who are introverts who are like, this is my time to shine. I just wanted to sit at home and watch TV all the time anyway.
Exactly. I can record, voiceover stuff and just be in my closet all by myself and just do what I want to do and no one can bother me and it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as catastrophically miserable as a lot of our peers are, so that's a good thing.
No, yes, and I have to say, though, we were both very excited when we got called back to work, but at the same time, the first week of it, everyone there was like, can I just go home again? That was fun.
You're talking about yourself and your magnificently talented husband, James Honey.
Yes, I'm very lucky.
Friend of the podcast.
Yes.
And you're both full-time Universal people, so
yes.
You have been back to work. You're not in limbo like us Disney folk.
No, and I feel so sorry. It's a whole thing, and I understand it. but it's just rough on everybody right now with what's going on. And I just sympathy for all of my equity friends and union members and everyone that was employed at Disney. I just want you guys to be able to go back to work safely.
As we all do. Yes, indeed. So, we watched a Lulu of an episode, didn't we?
Yes, I can't believe you picked this episode for me. It's as if you actually knew me really well.
Oh, okay. I can't wait to hear more about this. This is okay. I find a lot of happy accidents have happened on the podcast.
You know, I really think that's what was great about The Facts of Life after watching this episode. I'm like, it really is like the more you know, and, you know, just the after school special, you know, you can learn from these things.
Oh, yes.
And you might not think it applies to you, but then you'll remember the episode like, oh, that happened to Tootie. And on this episode, I feel, now I understand.
Nope, so true.
Yes.
And this episode, of course, to which we are referring is season 5, episode 14, entitled Next Door. And the original air date was January 4th of 1984. Happy New Year, Ginger.
I know.
That's crazy. We're in another year. To think the show started in 79 when I began the podcast, and here we are.
You know, 1979, I'm not even going to say how old I was. When I first started watching, I'll be honest with you, David, I really only watched the first couple seasons. Like, once they got to Edna's Edibles, and I can't remember how they got there, there were other things going on. I was older, you know, puberty happens, and you stop watching TV shows like that. So, you know, so that's why it was fun for me to watch this episode, and you know, and also just the people that were in it.
Oh yes, yeah. There's some surprises in here coming up. Now, this episode was written by Milt Rosen and Glenn Padnick, and both of them had been story editors and creative consultants for many high-profile shows. Not much from the mid-'80s on. They had stuff kind of previous to this. But I do have to point out that Glenn Padnick was one of the original writers of the pilot for this show, season 1, episode 1, called Rough Housing. And rough was a good word to have in the title because it was rough. And this is a special episode, Ginger, because it is directed by Linda Day, not Asad Khalada. Asad Khalada, who would go on to do most of Who's the Boss after this, had directed every episode in season 4, and he's directed all but 5, I think, maybe 4 of them in season 5. So he's kind of their in-house, on-hand director, like the guy that they use.
Right.
So it's very weird that we have an episode here that was not directed by him. But Miss Linda Day, though, who directed this one, this is her only time that she ever directs The Facts of Life. But she would go on to a lot of other series, and sadly, she's no longer with us. She passed away in 2009 at 71 years old, so that's why we don't see much from her these days. Well then, I don't know if James prepped you or warned you that before we get into the microscopic dissection, I always ask my guests to take a moment and synopsize the entire episode briefly, just in 1 or 2 sentences, like you might see in a TV guide listing.
Tootie meets a new friend and has to learn to deal with his situation.
I love it. I love how it's indicative, but it's not obvious.
Yeah,
well done, my dear.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to do this? Are we ready to get into my microscopic OCD dissection here?
Oh, let's do it. I love that stuff.
Okay. Well, we start off at Edna's Edibles, and we are in the store, and what do we hear? What is the music that is playing, Ginger?
It is from the Nutcracker. I want to say it's the Nutcracker Suite.
I recognize it as the Nutcracker, and what I know it's not the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies.
No.
Which is a different, that's da 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is the Nutcracker, which is kind of like, okay, this episode was filmed in November, according to my sources, and it is New Year's, so we are still in holiday season mode, sort of. It is interesting, though, that the store had been previously decked out for Christmas, like big time.
Oh.
And then it suddenly wasn't, and no mention of Christmas was made. And then we now have mention of Christmas, but nothing. And next week, we're going to have, what am I trying to say? Like a winter festival where the store is decked out in icicles and, snowflakes and all white and icy blue.
Yeah.
Typical of sitcoms where it is the way it needs to be for this week, and we are making no real concern with last week or next week.
Right.
Yeah. But as part of a visual gag, sort of dancing to this music, Natalie comes in with a tray of food and clumsily and sloppily is doing her faux ballet, dishing out the food onto a platter and then putting some onto a plate. And it's supposed to be a funny visual gag of Natalie dancing badly while trying to do her work.
Yes. And to be honest, I mean, I thought actually she was right on the rhythm, at least to the music. But I just was concerned with whatever that was she was dishing on the plate. I'm like, is that eggs? What is that?
Yeah. It was very, it was like being at Chipotle, where they have an amazingly efficient assembly line going.
Yes.
But there are times that they forget that it's food they're dealing with. They're just slapping it down. It's like, I'm on a deadline. I got to get this burrito done, and I've got another quesadilla coming down the line and 2 web orders. And
Yes.
you applaud their efficiency, but you're like, honey, that is food. I'm going to be eating that. You could be a little more genteel.
Yeah, give my burrito a little care, please, if you don't mind. No, just shoved along to the next person.
Yeah. So no sooner do Mrs. Garrett and Tootie come in after Natalie is done. I feel like if they had come in beforehand, there would have been some commentary about her dancing.
Yes.
And but they come in and we start hearing some noise, like a thumping, a banging noise or whatever. And they are complaining that it's something that's wrong with the boiler.
Yes.
Joe allegedly fixed it, but it's not fixed well enough and still happening. And Mrs. Garrett is like, I got to call a professional. So she goes off to find the yellow pages, which is like, that's how we used to find people.
Yeah, no Google, no Facebook friend, hey, do you know anybody recommendations? No, you had to go get the book.
Yeah, it was like the Bible, really.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then Blair and Joe come in. And Blair has some surprise news for the girls. She was able to acquire the tickets to see Baryshnikov in Swan Lake. So the girls, particularly Natalie, are all really excited. And the tickets cost $40 each.
What? That's outrageous.
Do you know how much that is in 2020 dollars, Ginger?
300?
It's not as much as you'd think. It's $99.25.
Oh, wow.
So it's like $100 for a ticket to the ballet to see a name, to see Baryshnikov in the ballet. That's pretty reasonable by today's standards.
And I don't know how Blair, even at that time, got him for that price. Because he was the hot ticket.
Oh, was he ever?
Yes. Yeah, because, and growing up a dancer, I knew of him from a long time ago.
So Joe, of course, is unimpressed. She's like, what? $40 to go and see him? Joe is typically Joe, unimpressed. So Mrs. Garrett that's where Mrs. Garrett comes in with the phone book. And Joe is like, whoa, what are you doing? She's like, I'm calling someone to look at the boiler. And she's like, no. It's just gotta get the air out of it or something. Joe insists that she did fix it and that the banging noise is just part of its recuperation, I guess. So Joe says she'll go look at the boiler again.
Right.
So everybody has cleared out, and Mrs. Garrett does ask Tootie to cover the front of the store. And then while Tootie is there alone, in comes a little boy.
Oh, and this was so exciting for me.
And the little boy came in, and what did the audience do?
Oh. Because he looks like a little street urchin. He's got his little lunchbox. He's got his little coat on. You're like, you immediately like, why is he by himself? That's
He's
so sad.
Adorable, but there's a little sense of like, have you guys never seen a toddler before? It's like What's that? It's not like an exotic puppy from Siam.
No, no. It's a small child.
Yeah, it's a fucking kid. It's not. I don't know what this. You wonder if it seems like they were prepped, that they were prodded to.
Oh yeah. Someone was holding a sign up.
Yes, that's true. I really do think so. But he comes in, and this little boy, he has the most interesting name ever. It is pronounced, as far as my research tells me, it is pronounced Taliesin Jaffe. It is Taliesin.
The actor, yes.
Jaffe. Yes, the actor is Taliesin Jaffe.
And this is when I have to say that I saw this kid. I'm like, I know this kid from something else.
Mm-hmm.
I love
What
this kid.
did you know him from?
And then it clicked about the second scene. I'm like, oh, he's the Whoopi kid from Mr.
He's the
Mom.
Whoopi kid,
He's
yes!
the Whoopi. I love the because in that movie, as in this, he delivers adult lines so well. And he was even younger in Mr. Mom. But he, where he's like, when Dad's like, it's time to give up the Whoopi, and he's like, can I have a few moments alone? And he just gets in his bed, puts his hands behind his head, just,
Yeah.
And I was like, I love this kid.
And maybe the might have been the recognition factor. Maybe that might have been what motivated that a little bit, because Mr. Mom had come out just the previous year. So he already had been on that, and he was tiny. By doing the math, he is 6 as of this taping. Mm-hmm. So this is a 6-year-old, and so he would have probably been 5, and barely 5 at that, when they filmed Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
So
No, he seemed much younger, in that.
But yeah, that scene where Michael Keaton convinces him to give up his security blanket. That's what the Whoopi is.
Yeah.
And it is the most adorable scene. I found it isolated on YouTube, and I will post it on the website for this episode.
Oh, please
to share
do.
it.
It's so good. And that's the thing. The funny thing about it is I love that movie so much, and I love the Whoopi that, I grew up with a blanket myself. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm just letting the world know that. I might still have a blue blanket on my bed and the one behind me. But my cat has a particular fleece of mine that I don't wear anymore, but he loves it. And by loves it, I mean loves it. He drags it around the house in his teeth, and we call it his Whoopi.
That is adorable.
Yeah, he drags it around the house. It moves locations. You'll come, leave the house, it'll be in one place. You come home, it's like, why is it over there?
And what is your kitty's name?
His name is Buddy.
Oh,
yeah, Buddy.
That's so sweet.
He's not brilliant, but he's mine.
So a little more interesting information about Taliesin Jaffe. Mm-hmm. Taliesin Jaffe is the son of Robert Jaffe, who was a bit player actor, doesn't have that many credits, but he was an actor in Hollywood. And his mother is Nina Axelrod, who was an actress until 1987, and then she became a casting director.
Oh.
And ended up working on a lot of somewhat high-profile things, movies that you recognize, if you look at her IMDb page. Now, let's continue up the family chain. Nina Axelrod's father was George Axelrod. That's a screenwriter, and he wrote the screenplays to some movies. The 7-Year Itch, Breakfast at Tiffany's, The Manchurian Candidate. That's a big one for me. I love Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
And so that screenwriter, that's the grandfather of this little boy. And let's go even one generation farther back, Ginger.
My.
George Axelrod's mother was a silent film actress. Her name was Betty Cooper.
Oh, my goodness.
And she made many, many silent films that seemed to stop around 1922.
Wow. That's a family of in the business.
Yeah. And we'll go even further that the brother of the mother, so that means the uncle of little boy Taliesin, he is Jonathan Axelrod, who is a writer-producer in Hollywood, and he was briefly married to Ileana Douglas.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, you want showbiz family with a capital SBF. Holy shit.
Well, and the kid, well, I don't know him personally, but he never had that air of pretension. about
Yes,
him.
you're right.
He was just kind of in the moment, which is what you want, and
Yeah.
you don't get that in a lot of kid actors. Now, I
If you
don't.
look at the first season of The Facts of Life, there was like Molly Ringwald, there was so much coached acting style.
Yes, yes, yeah, and you can tell. And unfortunately, some of it dragged on to the season we're on now, even though they're older. I was like,
bit.
just a little bit of, wow, Tootie, take it down a notch.
We've discussed that before. Yes.
Yeah.
We will get there.
Yes.
But Taliesin Jaffe is still working in the industry. For the last 5 years, he does a web series called Critical Role, and it is a live weekly show streaming where a band of professional voice actors improvise, role play, and roll their way through an epic Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe James has not told me about this. He has to know
he
that.
may be into it, 'cause I know James is into D&D. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, and that is on YouTube. I will post links to it. And as part of their channel, there is a point where they have a guy interviewing the individuals within the campaign. And so the interview with Taliesin is fascinating because he does talk about his early days as a child actor and what that was like. So I'm very, very excited to share all that and discover that he is still out there and still working ongoingly.
He's
It's awesome.
doing what he loves now. He's like, this is where I want to go with this. And as it seems most of his family members did, they each went in a slightly different way in the film biz and the TV biz, everybody doing a different thing.
Nope, totally right. Yes. So we learn that this little boy, he doesn't divulge his name yet, but his name is Danny. And he and Tootie engage in some, I think, pretty well-written conversation between a teenager and a little boy.
Yeah.
He says he lives above the real estate office next door. He just popped in. He says regularly, I shouldn't be here. That's a good thing. That he does know what his instructions are and he knows he's breaking the rules. And but he says, I thought you might have some candy in here. And Tootie gives him a sample of something. What was it? It was probably like, a dill pickle potato salad.
It was quiche.
Was it a quiche, really?
It was a spinach quiche, because I think she has the line, said, well, spinach quiche is a something taste, like educated. An acquired taste, yes.
Yeah.
Because he's like, people actually eat this stuff?
Yeah, he has that. that was probably a little bit of a kid delivery. People actually eat this stuff?
Yes.
That's where he maybe danced a little close to coached speech patterns. But Tootie and he quickly connect, and she realizes that if he lives there, that she has seen a mirror light shining through their bedroom window. And she's like, that must be you. And he's like, yes. And he knows Morse code. Somehow Tootie miraculously knows Morse code for this episode, something we've never known about her before.
Right. Well, roller skating, Morse code, they kind of go together.
Yeah, it's yin and yang, yeah. So he is, like you said, he looks like a street urchin. He's not like dirty or anything, but he is dressed. He's got a backpack on that looks like it's as big as he is.
Yes.
Makes him look tinier. And did you notice his lunchbox? It was?
Was it Scooby-Doo?
No.
What was it?
It was the Country Bear Jamboree.
Oh, see, I was trying to look at him like I couldn't get a good shot. I'm like, it looks like the colors. Oh my gosh, Country Bear Jamboree.
I went back. I was like, it's either Banana Splits or Country Bear Jamboree. Lunchboxes were so important. When we were kids, like, you had to pick the right one. You knew you had to live with it for at least a whole school year.
Exactly. Oh yeah,
and it was exciting every year getting the new lunchbox. Yes. So very quickly, it becomes apparent that his mom is working. His dad doesn't live with them anymore. And Tootie asks, so what about a babysitter? And he's like, I'm not a baby. I can take care of myself.
Yes.
Well, it's apparent he is a latchkey kid who stays at home with the door locked, with instructions not to answer the phone or answer the door unless he gets the signal from his mom. And she doesn't get home from work until 6:30 p.m.
Okay, confession time. Why I say this episode is perfect. I was a latchkey kid.
What?
Yes, I was a latchkey kid from elementary school because my mom was raising me by herself, and she was a school teacher, so she wouldn't get home until about 4:30 or 5:30, and I had very specific instructions. To this day, I will not answer a door or a phone. I can't. She instilled the fear of God in me, and at my house, we had like a stained glass yellow side, it was the 70s. And I could sneak against the wall and still look through the peephole, but they wouldn't know that I was at the door.
Oh, nice.
So I could see if it was a neighbor or anything that, wanted to come in. But no, I'm always like when there's a door knock, I go, James, answer the door. Get it. Because it's ingrained in me. I think that's where my introvertedness started. Is outside bad, inside good. But yeah, no, I loved his snapback keychain though.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had the key with like the retractable. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have that. I had mine around my neck, which would choke you every now and then, and you had to hide it in your shirt, or kids would pick on you. And I had no idea that I was a latchkey kid till I was in fourth grade. I want to say third or fourth grade, and I decided we had to do a report on something, and I'm like, I heard about latchkey kids, so I did a report on latchkey kids, and I'm like, that's me. And this says I'm going to be totally screwed up when I'm an adult.
How long did you do that? How long did that system sustain itself?
I was probably a latchkey kid till high school. Till I was a freshman in high school, because she would drive me to school some mornings. In my elementary school, I could ride my bike to school, but I had to take a certain pathway every time. I couldn't go this way, I couldn't go that way. But I came home, I was allowed to watch a half an hour of TV. I could have a snack, and then I had to do my homework. And no more TV until I finished my homework. And then Mom would come home, and she usually made something in the crock pot, which would be ready by the time she got home. To this day, I hate crock pots because of that. I will never own one. I will never cook in one. I'm sure they're fabulous, but to me, it's just like, not again. Throw in the vegetables and the meat and whatever in there. I'm like, oh, crock pot dinner, yay. But that's what my mom had to do to make sure, and we didn't have much time because she got up super early to go to school to teach. And so a lot of times she was up before I even left. So I learned to make breakfast for myself pretty early. And you learn to do things. And like what he did, he went straight to doing his homework.
Yeah.
And he had a snack because he got mayonnaise on his pants.
Yeah, there's a running joke about him saying he changed his pants because he got mayonnaise on. Yes.
But yeah, no. So that's why I was like, David Almeida, you picked this show for me?
I had no idea.
It's
none.
It was like karmic. I don't know what.
I mean, yeah, I'm a genius.
Yes, you are.
That's right.
Just own it.
What you said. And the funny thing is, being kids raised in the 70s and in the 80s, my first thought for this, and I'm sure you kind of had the same thought too, is it's like, you're home alone and your mom's. My first thought was like, yeah. It's this. Well, it's 80. I mean, at this point, it's 84. But you hear about so much about how parenting has changed over the decades, and we are from a generation who, for the most part, we were just left to fend for ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, it was sort of just the way. You mom has to work, dad is not there or whatever, and you are taught the rules. And it teaches you, in a way, how to take care of yourself, how to protect yourself. You know the things to look out for, what works, what doesn't work. Don't start a fire because who's going to fix that? And to be honest, I was the worst child to babysit ever, which is why I think my mom had to leave me by myself because, if my babysitters saw me today, they just want to punch me in the face. I was horrible to them. And then when I became a babysitter, I was horrible to the kids I babysat. So, and that's why I would tell my mom, like he did, I'm not a baby. I don't need a babysitter. You leave me home all day by myself. Why can't I be here at night by myself? What's so scary about the nighttime? What's the difference? I'm just going to bed.
Well, I didn't have the same upbringing. My parents were more involved, but there was still the thing of on the weekends, it's like, okay, it's Saturday. it's 9 a.m. Get out of the house. Go.
Yeah.
Take your bike. Go somewhere. Do something. Dinner's at 6.
Yeah.
And it was like we just, we wrote our own ticket. It was like, okay, well, I'm going to ride over to the arcade, and
Yeah.
I've got some quarters. I'm going to play some games at the putt-putt golf course, or
Exactly. And if you have friends,
walk around the mall.
like, yeah, I lived on like a cul-de-sac, and not a cul-de-sac, but like it was a circle, a half circle. But my friends all lived on the same street. So we just start riding around and see who's doing what. And when you're a kid, you find the places where you're like, oh, this is Dead Man's Hill. Let's all try to go down it. You had those places that you knew because you explored. And only you were going to remember that. It's that whole Stand By Me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you all go through this together, these journeys.
And nowadays, parents have a separate calendar for their kids.
Yeah.
They have their designated playtime at this particular place with the hand sanitizer, and you take your shoes off. And
Yeah.
then they have their baby yoga, followed by baby Pilates. And a child is never alone until they're 18, it seems. As it is left, he leaves. Danny is like, okay, I got to go. And the last thing is when he leaves, Tootie says, okay, bye, whoever you are. And then the door opens up, and adorably he pops his head in and goes, Danny Slater, and then runs out.
Oh,
It's like,
it was
he's just so cute. I love him. So then we go on to the next scene, and we are in the girls' bedroom. And Natalie has a photo of Baryshnikov that she is worshiping. Natalie, being the horny one, of course, is the one most excited about Baryshnikov. Now,
This is what I wanted to talk about.
talk about it.
They could not have picked a worse picture of the man.
Oh,
That's it. No, that's him in full stage makeup for what looks
Yeah.
to me to be the swan like
Swan Lake.
Swan Lake, yes, and in the costume from Swan Lake. I'm like, or Giselle. It might have been Giselle, but I was like that. I thought it was Natalie's grandmother at first when the picture popped out. No kidding. I thought it was an older,
No.
like middle, like Slavian woman. I was like, what? And then she said, oh, Baryshnikov. I'm like, no.
Misha. She keeps calling him
Misha.
Misha, which is hilarious, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
But here's my thing. This is a thing you find in films. Now, on stage, typically you need things that read from the audience.
Yes.
So you tend to do bigger, broader things. If you have a prop, maybe something bigger is a smarter choice to make for the back row. And you occasionally see this spill over into film and television. This photo she has of Baryshnikov is like a 16 by 20
Yes.
framed picture. It is massive.
It's not quite a poster, and it's not
No.
quite an 8x10. It's like that in between. Why? Where?
Yeah. But it's because they're like, well, it's a TV show, it's film theater, and it does look ridiculously big. It's like you could have done an 8x10 and it would have been fine.
Yes.
It really would have been good, but it was a little bit big. But be that as it may.
I think that's why the size threw me too. That's why I thought it was like her grandmother or an aunt or something from the old country. When I first saw the
Yeah.
picture, and then I was like, no.
Well, Jo was, of course, uninterested because she thinks the ballet is expensive. She doesn't like that it doesn't have a referee, and she's a lesbian. Whoa, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Whoa, what a giveaway. She is not. She is heterosexual. She's just a tomboy, Ginger.
I, myself, was a tomboy. That phrase has gone away, unfortunately. They don't use tomboy anymore. And that's unfortunate because there are some of us who are. We just, we like comfy clothes
Yeah.
and not wearing makeup.
And you are heterosexual and are
Yes.
married to a man.
Yes.
So it happens.
Yes. Every now and then
It
we
does.
dress up, but it's hard. Heels are hard.
Yeah. Oh, girl, you're preaching to the choir. I've worn enough
I know you know.
on stage with you.
Yes, and I think
as a
you wear
matter of fact.
higher heels than I do. Ever.
Oh, star. Well, there is this mirror flashing Morse code thing where we know that Danny's there and Tootie is communicating with him in Morse code. And someone's like, why don't you just call him? Jesus. Because I'm the same way. I'm like, God, what a pain in the ass that must be. But it's like, nope, you can't answer the phone unless it's the mother's signal. but he's doing his homework. He needs help with dinosaurs. He's 6. He's in first grade. Why the fuck does he have homework? Come on.
Seriously, coloring. Maybe coloring or,
Yeah.
I had to find a pet for pet day, and I got a cricket, and, I found
Peeing
outside.
Standing up. Come on. There are a lot
that's-
more important things than
Wash your hands and don't touch others.
Yeah.
These are the things
learn how to wipe your ass.
Yes.
Yeah, that's more what it should be. But then the boiler starts making noises again. And they're like, the boiler's making noises, Joe. You say you fixed it, but you didn't fix it. And Joe's like, shut your fucking pie hole. I fixed it. I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
Then in comes Mrs. Garrett. She's like, please, everybody, stay calm. If you are inspired to do your bad Mrs. Garrett impression, feel free to join me anytime throughout the episode.
All right.
But she thought she smelled gas, so she called the gas company, and they are coming, but they're pretty sure there's a gas leak, and at any minute the building could blow up. So pandemonium ensues. We have some comedy with Natalie conveniently having pre-packed for such a disaster.
Yes.
And then the oddest line of the entire episode. Tootie is the last one out. Tootie is the one lagging behind.
Right.
And I don't know if she's remembered. I don't think she's remembered that Danny's over there next door yet. But Mrs. Garrett says, and I went back and listened to this multiple times to make sure I didn't hear it wrong. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Say it.
She says, Tootie, only twice in my life have I spoken in an arbitrary manner. Once when my husband mortgaged our home to pay the bookie, and now. Get the hell out of here or I'll beat you with my frying pan.
It's like, were they letting her say that because that's what she said to her husband?
Well, here's the thing. Her husband was a gambler. That is canon.
Right.
That is absolutely consistent. We've met the husband and we know that was the reason why their marriage broke up, was that he was a gambler. But my thing is, the line is, only twice in my life have I spoken in an arbitrary manner. Arbitrary.
Meaning, yeah,
To quote Inigo Montoya, you keep a use of that word. I don't think it means what do you think it means?
Yes.
It's arbitrary means unimportant, dismissible, and of less consequence. Arbitrary, it's like, I have a supporting role in this play. I walk on and say 2 lines and leave. I'm completely arbitrary to the plot.
Right. Yeah, and
arbitrary is literally the opposite of what she is. She's trying to express. Basically, she's saying, Tootie, I have only shouted twice in my life.
Right.
This was the first time, and now is the second time. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
But we know she shouted before, so that's not right either. But what a weird... You're like, did they write it wrong? Did she say it wrong and they didn't catch it? I'm trying to think, what would the word have been that they meant to use?
Yeah,
Basically, she's saying only twice in my life have I lost my shit.
Right. That's what the line is supposed to mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to equate that to spoken in an arbitrary... And of course, the setup is it's supposed to be, I'm talking really calm and telling a story, and then I'm going to shout at you. Right. They're trying to set up the comedy of that.
Right. But yeah, no, it doesn't...
It's just whatever. Thank God we go to commercial to ponder what the fuck we just heard.
What was that? And, oh, God.
Yeah. And before the commercial, of course, it's Tootie going, oh, wait a minute. What, if this building is in danger of blowing up, Danny's next door. He's in danger. I have to go get him. And Mrs. Garrett says the firemen are going door to door or something. And she's like, he won't answer. So it is left to the commercial with this, Danny's in danger. What are we going to do?
And I hate to say it, as a latchkey kid, I didn't care if they told me they were firemen. I'm not opening that door. I'm not answering to nothing. I'm not here.
And well, you shouldn't have.
Nope. It is beat into you that you do not open that door because someone could kill you.
Stranger danger.
Yes.
Well, my darling, we
Yes.
are at the intermission, as it were,
All right.
for theatrical people. We're at the commercial where during this time, I like to take a moment and get to know my guests and talk to you about your life and your career.
Oh, my. All right.
And a little brief travelogue of how you got from your humble beginnings of latchkeydom
Yes.
all the way here to super theme park stardom that you currently have.
Oh,
So,
yes.
if I may, Ginger Honey,
Yes.
where were you born?
I was born, actually, it took me a long time to admit this, Sanford, Florida.
You're local?
I am born and raised.
Uh-huh. And for those who are not local here, Sanford is it's like a half an hour north of Orlando if you go up the I-4.
Yeah.
So it is considered part of Central Florida. And so then what gave you the first inklings that you wanted to be a performer and an actress?
Well, that would be my Nana, because I used to do this thing, and there's videotape of it. I would dance in front of the TV if there was music playing. Like, we'd watch Cher. And we lived with my grandparents for a while, so I would just dance in front of the television all the time. And she got sick of it during the day, I think is really why. And she just decided, she called up some dance studio, and she asked them what class, and she's like, I'm going to bring my granddaughter. Now, it was a tap class. I had no tap shoes. She put Mary Jane's on me. I had little Mary Jane's. And I think she put me in a skirt or something. I don't know. But it was like for kids I was maybe 4 when this happened. I was 4. And, these kids were all older. And my grandmother had a way of letting me do things, like making people let me go. So I took the class. I was horrible, but I loved it. I loved it. And then she and my Nana figured out where I should be, which was creative movement. But yeah, no, I started dancing and got into dancing schools, and then I don't know, a lot of people, what is now the Orlando Ballet, used to be Southern Ballet Theater, and
Sure.
I was their first student when they opened a school because my mom saw it in the paper and she just took me there, and they're like, we don't really have a thing set up yet, so. Yeah, I was the first student, and I took private lessons with the ballet mistress, and then I took class with the professionals. I was like maybe 10 or 11.
Wow.
But my mom wanted to know if I was any good, if she should keep spending money on this. And so they finally did get some more kids in, and there was a big summer thing, and then I went from there, and I was in the company for a lot of years, and then the knees go, and basically, I was told, you can keep dancing and be in a wheelchair when you're 35, or you can quit. And so I made the big girl decision and decided I should quit. And
what age was that when
I-
you stopped dancing?
14 or 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was already having a wear and tear in your body.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
My knees just would not take it. And, but yeah, so then I was like, what do I do with myself? This is my life. This is what I do. It's all I know. And then I remembered, and I will never forget, God bless her, the ballet mistress, we were doing the Nutcracker, to bring it all back to home. And I had to play a boy in the first act because they needed a tall boy to lift a tall girl who was my age. And I just told her, I said, you better jump because I'm not lifting you. And we were in the rehearsal for the opening scene, the party scene, and Barbara Riggins was her name. She just recently passed on. Wonderful, wonderful woman. But she stopped rehearsal dead cold, and she said, Ginger is the only one acting up there. And I don't know what acting was. And I said, I'm just trying to not look like a girl. Just trying to be a boy, which is kind of what acting is, to
You're
be.
committing to your role
Right.
before you knew what that was, yeah.
And that popped into my head. And so my mom found this thing called the Kids Company, and they were having auditions for this show. And I wasn't really a singer. I was a dancer. I have a dancer's voice. That's the only thing I can say about my singing. I can hold the tune, but I have a dancer's voice. I'm good in the chorus. I can hold my own in the chorus. But yeah,
like saying you have a face for radio kind of a thing.
So, but that's how it started. And because they were doing a musical, I knew I could dance. So I trusted I could dance. And yeah, that happened. And I ended up playing the lead in it. And my mom came to the auditions that took all night long on a school night. And she goes, when did you learn to sing like that? I'm like, I don't know. She had never heard me sing. I didn't sing in church. I never sang. So
Wow.
yeah, because she knew I could dance or the acting. She's like, where do you know how? I'm like, oh.
Well,
So
you clearly showed some promise, and you had instincts before you even knew what you were doing.
And it was more just like, well, this is what this person says, so they must feel like this. Is kind of just how I went at it.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to go, kept going through the end of high school. And then I was supposed to go to New York University and chose not to because they wouldn't let me dance and act. And I really didn't know. I didn't trust the acting thing. I knew I could dance. But the acting thing, like, so I left. I had a scholarship and everything. I'm like, bye. Meanwhile.
So where did you end up studying?
I ended up studying Otterbein College, which is now Otterbein University in just outside of Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a small liberal arts school when I was there. Wonderful theater program. Your senior year, you are only on campus. We did trimesters, so you were only there one trimester. Otherwise, you were in New York or in LA doing an internship because they believed in teaching you the business, and that was one of the biggest gifts I ever got was learning the business.
That's a great program right there.
Yeah, I mean, you worked for casting directors or agents, so you basically shut up and keep your eyes and ears open and learn.
Yeah.
And I did learn so much there. Just,
Where did you intern?
It was called Johnson Lift Casting, and they did all the big musicals: Cats, Miss Saigon, Les Mis. I got to actually meet Cameron McIntosh. He signed a book for me that I believe I still have that they got me for Christmas. But yeah, and I was a production assistant for All My Children. So yeah, because my friend actually she was a writer at the time. She was the head writer for All My Children. It was the Kelly Ripa years.
Oh, okay.
I was in Kelly Ripa's prom.
Wow.
I had 2 days. And because I was a production assistant, I would have to go through with all the crew and everything. So they all knew me. So I'd be sitting there, we'd be on a break, and a boom mic would just come right in front of my face. I'm like, stop it. Because they were just goofing with me. But because they knew me, they'd pull me for extra scenes with my date. My date loves me.
That's so sweet.
Because they'd pull me to do extra stuff because they knew I wasn't going to be, because, oh my gosh, the extras there. Oh, the competition.
Oh, really? In New York, you mean in general?
To get screen time as an extra. Oh, these are like lifer extras. It's like, oh my gosh. Whereas me and my day, I'm like, we can hang back here. And then they'd pull us to do something extra.
Nice.
But yeah, and then, I just kind of found my way through, after college, I did a lot of regional theater and stuff. And
what degree did you end up leaving college with?
BFA. And I tried to go to grad school, but I was like, I know more than these people. Why am I here? In Chicago, what I decided to do, which was basically my grad class, was I took classes with all the casting directors that I could.
Oh,
so they could
smart.
see my work.
Smart, yeah.
And not just an audition, but in them directing me to do things. And that's how I met Erica Daniels, who was with Steppenwolf Casting. And I met the guy at the Goodman and Shakes and all these people. So they knew me.
Yeah. And you worked at Steppenwolf, didn't you?
Yep. Erica Daniels got me in there. I had to, union, drop my status. But I got it back. I got it back before I left Chicago. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, she's like, I want you to understudy Amy Morton, who is a goddess to me. I adore her.
Yes.
But I understudied her in the first show, and then I was her like all-time understudy while I was there.
So talking about the Chicago thing, that was sort of a detour that I was talking to James about that too when he was on. But before that, you had been here in Central Florida. You were working at Universal full-time, and we were at Sleuths together.
Yeah.
Yay, where we first met.
Yes, I got hired at both places on the same day.
Did you really?
1999, same exact day. Yeah, Laurel hired me and Universal hired me.
You came. Oh, I was thinking you predated me because
No.
I came into Sleuths in '97, and
Yeah, I was 99. Yeah, because James and I got
Wow.
married in '98, and then he was the one who kind of showed me that I never thought about working at a theme park. So and then he showed me what he did and what stuff is there, and there was an audition, so I went to it and got to be a screaming Janet in the Hitchcock show. It was great. James sort of pushed me that way, and then he got mad at me because I took the Ghostbuster contract and he didn't get it. But it's because a girl left the contract, so they're going to put another girl in it.
It's
I told
because
him.
I'm a girl. That's all,
That's all.
honey.
Come on, equal rights.
And these days, after your jaunt to Chicago, back you come, and the theme parks welcomed you back with open arms, as they usually do with extremely talented people.
Oh, it was so amazing. Both James and I were overwhelmed just seeing the faces of the show directors after 8 years, and it's like, wow. And them just being so nice and offering us so many different things right off the bat. We were overwhelmed.
Yeah. Well, our paths occasionally do cross over at the Universal. We don't technically work together, but we work in the same place in a certain wizarding world.
Yes.
And we also do get to, and then we do get to share the stage together at the Sleuths Mystery Dinner Theater, which I love whenever we get to. And I cannot wait until we're able to do that again when all this craziness is over.
Yes.
So, Ginger.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Honey.
Yes.
Enough about you.
Thank you. Good.
We need to get back to the facts of life and what is going to happen with Danny in the exploding building.
I can't believe you've left people this long.
I know.
Not knowing what happened to Danny in the exploding building. Just rude. It's like, that's soap opera stuff, man.
Exactly. With bated breath, we're waiting.
Yes. We care less about her. What happened to Danny?
So we end up, we built a new set for this. We end up coming back from commercial in the hallway of Danny's apartment.
Yes.
And we see a little bit of Danny's apartment, but not a lot of it, because it's not that big a part of the show. Why spend the money, really?
It's enough to show you that it's not a big space.
Yeah. And so Mrs. Garrett comes up and is trying to talk to Danny and convince him, and he is sticking to his guns. God bless him. He's following the instructions. I can't open the door for strangers. Finally, Tootie comes up. Mrs. Garrett's like, Tootie, get out. The building's going to explode. Unless it doesn't.
Yes.
And Tootie convinces him to open the door, and they grab him and leave. And what's the funny line? Mrs. Garrett, the exit line? That kid would have been great at the Alamo.
Oh, yes. Oh, and when she sticks her face, so he can see her through the peephole, it's that horrible, horrible, awkward angle, and it makes her just look even scarier.
Exactly. They were playing that up. It's like, we're in a Terry Gilliam film all of a sudden.
Yeah. and he's at the table, like the dinner table, with his books out, and he's studying. Mm-hmm. What does he say? He's like, I know you're there. No, I'm not.
Yeah. So sweet.
Yeah, and that's what you do when you're a kid. You're like, you're not supposed to tell anybody. Like, no one's here. That's what you say.
Yep. There's nobody home.
Nobody's home.
My mother says there's nobody home. Yes. Well, then we come back to the store, to Edna's Edibles. They're getting the all clear. It's okay to come back in. It only took an hour, though they do think that it might have taken them only 10 minutes, but Joe was helping the guy who was there to fix the gas leak.
Yes.
So one of them, I think it's Natalie, they send her out with Danny, say, go take him to the pizza place and just get him out of here because, we're all clear, but there could still be gas. Let's not light up a cigarette, maybe.
But that's where they all go, is to the pizza place.
Yeah. So we know there's a real estate office and a pizza place
right near
in this neighborhood. Don't think I'm not going to be paying close attention to every episode.
Yes.
From here to the end of the series. To make sure that they stick with that.
Yes. Very important.
Now, when the workman comes up, he is, by the way, the workman, I forget what his name is, but he's played by an actor named Cliff Norton. He's another one of those character actors. 133 credits on IMDb.
Wow. But he was the perfect day player for that role. Just the perfect, not overdoing
utility player where we need a plumber, heater, fixer-up guy. Perfect.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Yep.
Yes. And yeah, and his career goes all the way back to 1949.
Oh,
Again, one of the great things about this era of TV, the late 70s into the early 80s, is you still have these veteran actors who literally helped create what television was.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were part of the invention of the medium because they were acting in it when it was still this thing they were figuring out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really, really cool. But while he is, there's just some banter and haha with Joe trying to help him. And actually, she says she's going on his next service call with him. And basically he says that you owe Joe thanks for what she did. If it wasn't for this lady's incompetence with fixing the boiler and all the noise that made you call me, we wouldn't have found this gas leak and fixed it. So
Right.
Joe's incompetence became what saved the day.
And then his last line, so like I'm doing the driving, or because she's gotten in the driver's seat clearly.
Yes.
Of his
Yeah.
truck.
Yes. Mrs. Garrett says, well, I hope we don't have any more trouble. And he says, you won't. She's coming with me.
Right.
And as he looks out, he says, hey, kid, I'm the one driving.
Yes.
Great exit line. Great. And he's perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect. And then finally in comes Danny's mother. Played by whom, Ginger?
Jean Smart. Yay!
We
Fabulous.
love Jean Smart.
Yes.
God, she is so good.
And she, I mean, was this before? This had to be before Designing Women.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Designing Women premiered in 86.
Okay.
And and it ran until 93. So it was 7 seasons. And so that's 2 years away from this.
Yeah.
So at this point, she's still trying to find that big series, and she found it.
Yeah, she did. And she's in another favorite movie of mine, in Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, yes.
She's the mom of Jake, who is Reese Witherspoon's like husband, but not divorced
Yes.
yet. But yeah.
Veteran of stage and screen. And here's some other interesting stuff about her. She played the part of Charlene on Designing Women only for the first 5 seasons. A
Yeah.
lot of people forget she left the show early, and she left at the same time Delta Burke left. And so Delta Burke everyone was fixated on with her and her fights with the producers and all that. So she kind of slipped out quietly and was replaced by Jan Hooks from
Right.
SNL.
Right. Yeah.
But she never stopped working after that. She's had recurring roles on The District, 24. She did voice work on Kim Possible. She did the TV shows Samantha Who, Fargo, Legion. Currently, Watchmen, the series. She's in that. And she's an extraordinary, she's one of the best actresses, I think, of her generation.
Yeah, and I think I gave her a bad rap because of Designing Women. I'm like, well, I don't think I like this person. Annie Potts was my thing.
Well,
Yeah.
she played the kind of airheady flake on Designing Women.
Right, and I'm not an airheady flake kind of person.
Yeah, you didn't identify with her. And honestly, that's not the most challenging thing to play.
No, and
Really.
it's not who she is. She
Yeah.
she's got
Is-
she has a lot of range, I think. So
No, she's got a lot of range, and she is terrific. Just of note, I did have to look it up because she towers over Kim Fields
yes,
in this scene. And you can tell from hearing the footsteps, you're like, okay, she sounds like she's got some heels on.
Yeah.
And Jean Smart is 5'10". She is not a short woman.
no,
So she's got heels on. So she is probably standing at 6 foot next to Kim Fields, who is, I think, 5'2".
Oh,
and
she's
probably
tiny.
wearing sneakers.
yeah, which makes her more ominous. That's for sure.
Yes. No, she towers over. But honestly, she's gorgeous. And it is weird to see her. And she's doing just that slight touch of New York accent. She's just peppering a little bit of it in there. And it's consistent and good. And it gives her an earthier quality, like she's a working woman.
Right, working class. Yeah.
Working class. She is so good for what little she has to work with here in this short scene.
I mean, unlike Edna, she doesn't have that uppity. Ooh, there's my impersonation.
That was that was it. It was perfect.
Sorry, thank you.
It was. But yeah, in Designing Women, her thing was always, oh, Mary Jo, you don't think they're going to bring it over to the other place? Well, what if that shipment gets there the wrong time? That's going to be a disaster for the client.
Right.
She always was just kind of talking like this and, setting up, like asking stupid questions so someone else could give the punchline.
Right, exactly.
That was kind of her thing. It was, honestly, Designing Women, sadly, was probably her most indelible role. And it's probably her least challenging and her least good work.
And it was probably her least favorite.
Yeah.
I
wonder. Yeah, I wonder what she would say about it.
Yeah.
But very quickly, we end up in little Tootie gets into little bitch mode.
Oh, yeah.
Which she has done before. And you alluded to this earlier about some of Tootie's acting when we get into this slightly bigger confrontational. We are suddenly performing for the balcony of the stadium.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like, Tootie,
Wow.
just take it down.
Yeah, just down. Just turn it down just to a couple. You're at 11. We could use you at a 9,
Yeah.
really.
Keep the intensity, not the volume.
Yeah, exactly. Intensity, not volume. Like they say, don't go faster. Just take the air out.
Yes.
Only actors will understand.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, dear. But basically, Tootie is kind of confrontational, like, well, he's cooped up in that house. He's practically a prisoner. He's a latchkey kid. And blah, blah. And Jean Smart is like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm a good mother to my kid. And she's like, every day I worry. You don't think I don't worry about him? And she says, every afternoon at work, I say, please let me come home and find him there in one piece, just sitting in front of the TV, watching the Flintstones with mayonnaise on his pants.
Exactly.
Comedy rule of threes, people. That was number 2, if you're keeping score. And so she does, Tootie does say, can't you leave Danny with a friend with this and that? And Jean Smart, I think competently, and she doesn't ever say what she does she?
No.
We never know what the job is.
No.
But I think she so competently plays her as sympathetic, tough, and makes a good case. Like there's a sense of, no, I'm not the villain here. This is not just Tootie the nice girl giving the bad lady a dressing down.
No, it's you don't understand the facts of life, Tootie.
Yeah. Hiya.
Yeah.
And she even says to her, what are you, 14, 15? You don't get it. It's just, there is a point where she kind of plays the, God, you are so young and you don't fucking get it.
Yeah, you think the world could be perfect. And, in a perfect world, I would be able to do this, but I can't.
Yeah. And
we just moved here, so we don't have any friends. I don't have any friends or neighbors. I don't know anybody and that I could leave him with.
Yeah. And Tootie was like, well, why didn't you come and introduce yourself? And she's like, well, where were you with the rest of the welcome wagon? It's like, right back at you, bitch.
Exactly.
So finally, Danny comes back in and Jean's entrance, her entrance is legitimately, she is upset.
Oh, yes.
And in tears and going, where's my son? They told me he was in here. Where's my kid? Is he okay? Like her entrance, I think she goes, I just came home and there's all fire trucks in front of the buildings.
Yeah.
So immediately she went into a panic and she brought all of that with that first entrance. And then the tears and the relief when they say, no, he's fine. He's not here. They just took him up. But no, he's fine. We've got this. And
they always
she plays
say
it so well.
I mean, they tell you in acting, you should always have that moment before. Where are you coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And you felt it as soon as she hit the camera. Like you knew exactly where she was coming from. Yeah. And that intensity was there to lead her on. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No, bravo. Jean Smart, we are Team Smart.
Yes.
Jean Smart, we are Team Smart. Yes.
So much yes.
So as Danny comes in, mommy, and there's the reunion and the hugging and, oh, baby, you're okay and all that. And she says, he says, she just notices, okay. And backing up a little bit, they didn't just bring him back to the apartment because he didn't have the pants. He had changed his pants.
Because of mayonnaise.
because the mayonnaise. So we already had 2 references to it. But anyhow, she's like, well, you changed your pants. And they look each other and they both go, mayonnaise. To a huge audience laugh. There was your payoff, your punchline to a joke that I really don't know if it's particularly funny. It might just be that the audience needed a laugh, because we did just watch a kind of intense scene with a lot of emotion.
Exactly, and this is just a sitcom, we have to remember, Yeah. But you need to lighten it. You need to have that break where we can go, I think a lot of things need that, so yeah.
Yeah, it's the release. It truly is.
Yeah.
And Danny says to his mom, Tootie said if I stayed at home, I'd get hurt. And she's like, wait a minute, Tootie? And it's like the one that's been yelling at you and trying to bitch you out.
Yeah.
I'm Tootie. Hi.
Hi.
And awkward. And Mrs. Garrett does say, I tried and he would not budge. I could not have gotten him out of there without her help. And so as they say goodbye, just before they leave, suddenly Tootie's like, well, I maybe could, look in on him and check on him in the afternoons, seeing as how we're neighbors. And then there's this kind of awkward pause. And then Danny hugs his mother. And then it freeze frames and we roll the credits. And it's like, what? Okay.
And Tootie's offering her services since clearly she doesn't actually work there at the store.
Yeah, exactly. She has nothing else going on with commuting to a boarding school and also having to pay off her room and board by working at a store on a completely voluntary basis.
Yeah.
So overall, I liked the episode. I really enjoyed Jean Smart's. I think really Jean Smart's performance is the thing that makes me put this in one of the better episodes, even though, as usual, I had 100,000 nitpicky little things to shit on it for.
I just thought that, the explanation of Latchkey Kid was correct. And being one myself, I'm like, yeah, those are the rules. That's what you do. And if my mom found out I went into someone's store asking for candy, big trouble. Big trouble.
Yeah. And I think it was way more common than even these writers and producers realized. They were treating it like it was this really out-of-the-box, scandalous thing.
And it was not.
Yeah.
You just gave me an episode that was too relatable.
I still can't believe it. And I just, if we didn't believe in a higher power before, I think we can now.
I think we can.
Brought you and me in this episode together.
I know there was another hand involved.
That hand left handprints, and that was when it carried us.
Oh, yeah, you're beautiful.
I think I mixed my religious stories here, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We're making it up.
So, my darling, I hope we're able to do this again.
Yes.
And I cannot wait to see your face again in real time and in real flesh, and not have to be 6 feet away and not be able to hug you and say hi.
I know. And you to be able to stand behind me and fix my wigs.
Yeah, that's right. I fix your wigs at Sleuths all the time. I'm a gay.
I'm a tomboy.
So until that time comes, until next we speak, smooches, my darling, and goodbye.
Bye, and thank you so much for letting me do this with you, David. You're great.
Mwah. And there you have it. That was Ginger Lee McDermott, a.k.a. Ginger Honey, a.k.a. awesome, amazing, incredible, talented super lady. Now, next week I'm going to be watching Season 5, Episode 15, called Crossing the Line, and my special guest is going to be Trenell Mooring, a three-peat guest. This will be her third show. I cannot wait. You can watch the episode for free at dailymotion.com. I'll post the link in the show notes, and you can also find it at this episode's webpage. And that's really it. Guys, thank you so much, as always, every week for listening to the show. I really so appreciate it. And remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the let's. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/FaceTheFactsPod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.